Next guest is one of my favorites, Marky Billson here, Tri-City Sports Now. It's Josh Brown, Knockahoma Nation. Hot stove league talk right now. First of New Year's Day. Hey, Hall of Fame is coming up. We're only a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting, are we not? That usually happens right after the Super Bowl. Think about this. And still we do not know where some of the biggest stars in the game are going to wind up. So let's bring on Josh Brown of Knockahoma Nation. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame first. You have been really big on social media. You think Fred McGriff belongs in Cooperstown. Okay, you have the floor. Tell me all about it.
Well, Happy New Year, Marky.
Yes.
I've been on the Fred McGriff, soapbox for years now. I think it's sad that he is getting overlooked. It's his final year on the ballot. It's 10th year. I think it would get in via the Veterans Committee, which is now called like the Modern Era Committee or the Today's Game Committee. I think they changed the name of it like 3 times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when you look at McGriff from about 87 all the way to 2004, and if you look at his power hitting numbers, if you look at the 4 guys ahead of him and the total home runs hit between 87 and 2004, McGriff, he's the only guy that didn't cheat. It's so cold hard truth. You got 4 guys in front of him who all cheated, and we can have a whole discussion on that. But he did it clean. He did it the right way. He was consistent. He was fantastic. He was a premier power hitter for years and for a long time. I mean, if you look at, he finished his career with the Cubs at age, I think, 37 or 38, hit 30 dingers at the back end of his career. I think it's funny, he's finally getting some love now. A lot of the writers like Brian Kinney on MLB Network and some of those guys are finally giving him some love and writing things about him, which is, it's funny. It's a little too late. It's the 10th year. Where were you guys 8 years ago?
There does sometimes seem to be a last call, though, for the voting. Ralph Kiner famously, in 1975 when he made it, it was on his final ballot, his 15th ballot. Burt Blyleven, I think these are very legitimate Hall of Famers, by the way. He got in on his 14th try. And again, it's 10 years now, but previously you got 15 years on the ballot. As long as you got 5%, you would be considered for the Hall of Fame. But regardless here, one of the things that I've liked about Fred McGriff, and it's been a reason why I thought, okay, he belongs in, one is just the incredible 1993 pennant race. And he was so much the difference for the Braves to come back in the last several weeks from 10.5 back to a good San Francisco Giants team. I mean, you want to talk about best teams never to make the postseason. In fact, there'll never be another team like those 93 Giants that won't make the postseason. They won 103 games and still couldn't play in October. That was the last time where there were no wild cards. But regardless, McGriff doing that he was instrumental in leading the Braves back once they acquired him. The thing is, he got only 23% of the vote last year. You need to have a 50% increase. Any shot you think on that? Any shot of a 50% increase to get?
No.
Yeah.
No, I right now he's sitting at 34.3%. I don't think so. Now, only 33.3% of the ballots have been cast so far, so you still got a lot of votes left, but I don't see it happening. What ticks me off too is look at Bagwell, right? Look at Jeff Bagwell. Well, Jeff Bagwell is a power hitting first base. He is regarded as the premier power hitting first baseman of the 90s, right? Well, okay, McGriff has more hits, more home runs, more RBIs, a way better postseason career. Bagwell's inducted 7th year at 86.2%, and now we're looking at McGriff probably falling off the ballot. Again, I think he does get in because of the veterans, but he's going to fall off the writer's ballot, which is a shame.
Veteran,
yeah. And I have an opinion. It's not a popular opinion, but I think Bagwell is used. So there's that.
Look, I remember the 2005 postseason and being a sports writer in the Wheeling Intelligencer, and watching that great Astros Braves series. And yes, the Braves lost in the divisional round in 4 games, but there was the first time a postseason game went 18 innings, and it didn't last until the middle of the night either, if you recall that. The Astros clincher. And I remember we were all looking around. So, yes, yeah, and we were all looking around. Phil Garner, the Tennessee product from Knox Bearden, and one-time guest on the first incarnation of this show, by the way. Garner was the manager of the Astros back then. But regardless, here's the point that I'm trying to make. I remember we were all in the sports desk and all that, and we were watching the baseball playoffs and the Astros advance and trying to figure out, why isn't Bagwell playing? Is he hurt? And our sports editor, Don Clegg, who incidentally broke that Bob Huggins was going to be the basketball coach at West Virginia, he looked around and said, that's not why he's playing. And it was that era where the steroid users, their bodies were breaking down. And he's saying, there you go. I know it's never been proven. It's not there. I mean, and hey, you have to, in that situation, the speculation of my former sports editor, that's not 100% by any means, don't get me wrong, but we were discussing that. We were discussing that during that 2005 postseason. We're discussing a lot with Josh Brown. I'll tell you one thing that I look at with Fred McGriff, and I see his numbers right here, 284 lifetime batting average, 493 home runs, same as Lou Gehrig, by the way. It reminds me, and I've seen his numbers, and they often say he was comparable to my boyhood idol, Willie Stargell, who had a 282 lifetime batting average and 475 home runs.